Good evening. Welcome to Kingdom Lum Small Town Underground. Happy Friday out there this evening. Hope you guys are doing well. This is just a special live stream. We didn't do one Wednesday, so we figured we'd do one tonight. I have another special that we're hoping to do Sunday night. So I decided to film or do a Situational Awareness Pod 3 that's out there. Normally I just share that on YouTube, Rumble, and just this main page. I don't try to push those out as much as the live streams. They're just small things that maybe I'll focus on, just different ways of bringing content out to you guys, different ways that I can do things and certain things we can focus on. So as you can see, I've got Blake Elsberry, Commissioner of Chattooga County, with us this evening. He wanted to come on this evening, and we've got a cool show plan. We're going to talk about a few things. I want to recognize some accomplishments that he's done while he's in office, and then we're kind of just going to leave it open for the latest stories of the day. The first thing, though, I do want to cover before we get started in this is everybody remember, I know most of you guys are getting ready and geared up to go see Donald Trump in Atlanta. I don't blame you one bit. Had we not had an event already planned, I would probably be down there with you, but I'm sorry. Shout out to Donald Trump. You're going to have to wait for me next time that you come around, because tomorrow in Chickamauga, Georgia, we are going to do the Christian Patriot Nation, which is it's a car and bike show. It's going to be kind of the debut of our musical act that we've been working on. Excuse me, and we're going to be at the High Point, Georgia Community Improvement Club, which is High Point Circle, 12163 Highway 193. This is a local event. It's going to start about 12:30, I believe, and run roughly till 5. There's going to be a bike show, car show, best of the best type thing. We're going to have music, speakers, we're going to have food. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're not going down to Atlanta and you're in the area, why don't you come by? It's free. I'm going to have a booth set up there. There's going to be some other people there. We're going to have an invocation by Jeff Daniels. Lucretia Hughes and Fallback Productions is going to be there. Carol Howard, Jerry Paris. So it's going to be a good time. It's going to be hot tomorrow, and but we're going to make the best of it under the pavilion in over there in Chickamauga, right around the High Point area. So I hope that I can see you all there. If you need any more information, holler at me. I'll be glad to send you the flyer or get you to it. So can't wait to see everybody there. So, Blake, how are you doing, sir?
Good. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. It's been a minute.
It has.
How's things going down in Chattooga County?
Oh, wide open. Trying to fit in 4 years worth of work that we thought we had 4 years for the next 6 months.
Right, I understand. a lot of stuff to get done. So
yeah.
We'll catch people up. You ran a re-election campaign.
We did. We're not successful in the re-election campaign. We did the legislation we drafted passed, so that was good.
Yes.
Our homestead freeze legislation passed, so that was good. So that'll be a benefit. But we were not successful with that, so we're just trying to get as much done as we can.
I got you, man. I got you. Respect, man. Much respect. You've done a killer job in Chattooga County. I hope that the torch can continue, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to be, to me, it'll be some tough shoes to fill, man.
I appreciate it.
You want to explain a little bit about your legislation that you actually got passed?
Yeah. So we drafted in a local piece of legislation. It passed the House and the Senate. Governor signed it, and then it went to the ballot. And of course, it passed the ballot unanimously. But basically, it's a homestead freeze. So anyone who has a homestead exemption can freeze the assessed value of their homes.
Right.
And it allows them to not have to worry about the continuing inflationary cost of the home market. So they'll be able to freeze it where it's at. And if the market was to drop, they could actually reset it and freeze it at the lower amount as well.
That's good.
And ours does not. The state is doing one very similar. It's going to be on the ballot in November.
Okay.
It's part of a larger tax bill, which has a lot of good things in it. But theirs has a 3% floating increase in it. Mine has a 0. So
really?
Ours will supersede that part for our locality, for Chattooga County only.
Right.
So I'm hoping that people would take advantage of it, especially with the market. It doesn't seem like it's. I think sales are slowing down a little bit, but the prices aren't changing.
No, no. If anything, they're going up. I mean, the stories that I'm reading is that home prices continue to just go up and up and up.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is. Well, that's good for the people. I'm sure you probably are aware there's a lot of people in Catoosa County that are rather upset about this 30% educational hike, and so I think a lot of people have their focus locally around that next week. A lot of us are trying to understand, why that, as from what I gather, they raised the school taxes 18% last year, and then they're asking for another 30%, and it's got some heads turned. Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like this is not business as usual, and people are really paying attention, and I think that the school boards are going to have to answer some questions. So, understand from my commissioner that, the school boards, you don't get a whole lot of say in what the school board does.
None whatsoever. No, it's totally separate millage rate. They have their own this that they set. So we've done well. We've Chattooga County currently has the lowest millage rate it's had in 13 years.
Right.
I've got one more millage rate to go, one more budget. So we'll do our best on that one, and then it'll be on to the next administration to take it over. So.
Well, one thing I do want to celebrate this evening with you is something that I've been meaning to. I'm sorry, Thomas, you can't call in tonight, buddy, but I'm here. I see you. I'm glad to see you there, and thank you, Michael Anthony. I can't wait to do a show with you again soon. And Kim's, thank you. Great job. Kim's Coffee Talk every morning, guys. It's hilarious. I get to catch it sometimes on the way to work. So thank y'all for chiming in with me. But yes, we got a lot of cool stuff to cover. Both of these people, let me just send a shout out to Michael Anthony up north, and he's been on the show before, and we're going to do another one as soon as some things calm down. But great content out there. And Kim's Coffee Talk the same. She does a phenomenal morning show that everybody should be plugged into. We hope to get her. Maybe me and her can sit down and do one together. There's so many good people out there that are really going the distance. But this is something I wanted to cover really quick. So I'm going to play this for the audience if you don't already know. But I'm super proud of Blake and what he's been able to do. Let's see. Here we go. I'm going to pull it up right here. So I want everybody to check out this. I think it's something that should be celebrated. So here we go. That is awesome, man. Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about this?
So yeah, we did a resolution proclaiming the month of June in Chattooga County the month of life.
Right.
And so we had Georgia Life Alliance and then Georgia Right to Life. Both were there.
That is awesome.
And we are currently, to my knowledge, the only government building, whether it be local or any other, in the state of Georgia that is flying a pro-life flag right now.
That's awesome, man.
So it'll be there when I leave. So
that's great. I mean, when you consider all the kind of sludge and filth that we're seeing nowadays, I don't want to go off into the Olympics that we were kind of talking about earlier, but it's just like to be able to have that accomplishment in your county, and to take that stand for something that is good and pure and protects lives. I think it needs to be commended. So
well, I appreciate it. It's something I've been very committed to since taking office, and I feel very strongly about. So we
sure. I'm the same way. I did this Second Amendment stuff for years, and when the Georgia Right to Life asked me to get involved, and I was like, sure, that's a no-brainer. Protect life. Mm-hmm. And not a lot, but a few people kind of reached out and like, well, why are you doing this? You're doing the Second Amendment. I'm like, well, every life does matter, and if you're asking me to choose a position, I mean, I'm going to choose life over any type of abortion or death at any time. I mean,
yeah.
like it's worth standing up on, and if it hurts feelings, or if you don't think it's something that should be, be getting into, well, I'm sorry, but
that's right.
We protect all life. All life is precious, and
right.
And we're getting reminders of that every week. I mean, we almost lost our president, for crying out loud, not too long ago.
Yep.
But we thank you for that. I had set out to do sort of a special special bit of content for that, but it hasn't worked for me yet because I'm going 90 to nothing. So, oh man, Antonio Jones is with us. So I got to talk about this really quick before we get into the news. So Antonio Jones of Gwinnett War Room, I'm telling you, you got to hook up to all these podcasts because these are real people talking about real news, bringing you the truth. And so my buddy Antonio is a great story. He was listening to Harrison Smith on InfoWars, and he called into the show, and he got put on hold and was listening and wanting to, because they were talking about something he had an opinion on, and so he's listening, and then the show goes into the Alex Jones show, and he's still there, and then all of a sudden the phone cuts off. It just kind of cuts off, and so he just decides he's going to go ahead and do the job. He's got a landscaping business, and so he's going and he's going to finish this job. The whole time something just keeps nagging at him, like, I need to call back in. And so he calls back into the show and gets 15 minutes with Alex Jones. All right. That's like, oh my God. And man, he was on fire. There's a clip. You can go to Kingdom Lum Small Town. I know that some these crazy social media sites were trying to pull it down, but it's still up there. And not only did he impress Alex like 100% and brought up like 4 points and was just going, just bam, bam, bam. Alex was so impressed. He told him he's going to take his name and number down and let him host the 4th hour one day. And I was just like, whoa. So if you think you're not making a difference, think again, because that's huge. And having somebody like Antonio out there speaking the truth and like telling it like it is on that big of a stage is phenomenal. So I'm super proud of Antonio, and we're all linked up together, and we're really like, man, we're trying to like just push things out together, and it's not like a rat race. It's like, hey, what can we do to help support each other? It's a wonderful thing. So you need to check out War Room, Gwinnett County. It's real easy to find. He's got some hard-hitting shows, and I'm thankful to God that people like you and Antonio and all. I mean, we're connected in these ways, in this fight for the truth and justice, and it's wonderful, But that's a huge thing, man, and can't wait to see what Antonio does with that. So before we kind of go into some news and stuff, like anything else you want to cover, like.
Oh, just Chattooga County is wide open. We're working on a couple other grants before I leave office. We lost our clerk recently.
Yes, that's correct. Okay.
Yeah, she was 34 years county clerk. So we're. I'm looking at trying to do something special for her before we leave office. Not sure yet of what, but just kind of figuring out what my next game plan is going to be.
Right. So you're out. Let's see. It starts basically in January.
January 1. Yeah, January 1. So
that's interesting, man. How often do we get to talk to like an outgoing person versus we don't ever think about that, but
Yeah. I think it's definitely a knowledge pool. That we could pull from on any elected office,
right?
Really, honestly, because you get that retrospective look.
And we've got the same thing here in Walker. We're having a new commissioner come in, and so it's going to be interesting. And I have no qualms about ever saying this. I think Shannon Whitfield did a bang up job. I always liked Shannon, and I know there's people that might have problems, but Angie Teams, she comes with this energy about her that is like she really wants to be involved in the community and the open door policy. So I hope that both of them can sit down and continue the progress that's made, and just make things better.
Yeah.
That's what our goal should be.
That's what you hope for.
That's what we hope for.
That's what you hope for.
We don't always get that, do
That's
we?
true. That's true.
So, well, man, like I said, you've done a bang-up job as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I appreciate it.
And we're looking forward to seeing things that might come up in the future.
Yeah, it's just haven't committed to anything yet, but I'm still very eager to serve, and we're praying about it, and just want to do something that's going to be impactful, whatever that is. So, so we'll see. We'll see what we do.
That's all you can do,
That's
man.
it.
All right, so we're gonna keep this a little bit open tonight. We're thinking about doing like an hour, so feel free to chime in anywhere you want. We're gonna cover a few things. The first thing I wanted to kind of cover tonight, let me pull it up here, make sure. Oh yeah, so this happened today, and I'm gonna cover this article first. I'm not a huge AJC fan, but I'm not here to throw under the bus. What we're gonna do is just kind of, if I can get my hands right, we're going to read this. And then I'm going to read part of the letter anyway. But this was dropped today, I believe. The Georgia GOP wants to ban Jeff Duncan from running for office as a Republican. He was a former lieutenant governor, recently endorsed Kamala Harris for president. So this is interesting.
He endorsed Biden before that.
Yes, he endorsed Biden, and now he's endorsed. This is a Republican that is doing this. So it says, state GOP leaders could almost forgive former Republican Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan for endorsing President Joe Biden, but his quick decision to back Vice President Kamala Harris and his glowing reviews of her Atlanta rally. Now, I want to stop there real quick, because how crazy is it that Kamala Harris had to have a rally in Atlanta last week, but she literally had to have Megan Thee Stallion up there like twerking and whatever. I don't know who the woman is. Like, I'm pretty fluent in rap music, and I listen to a lot of crazy stuff. But like the Megan Thee Stallion or whatever it is, I mean, it was just kind of garbage. And it's funny to me because that's what they're doing. They're trying to use the culture and the Hollywood influence, right? They can't even stand on their own for a rally. They literally have to invite all of these people and get these people involved in this, and it was a clown show, is what it was.
Yeah, I don't know that performer.
Yeah.
But I did see some of the video where people were leaving after she was done performing.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Most of it. I mean, look, man, this is not a white or a black thing. This is not a race thing. Now, they're trying to make this a race thing, right? Mm-hmm. We're too smart for that. We're not going to fall for these tropes that you can fall down in, right? But all of a sudden, this is a race thing. When we know good and well that more and more people of color, more and more people of different ethnicities are waking up and realizing that you've been sold a false bill of goods, right? And I find this completely interesting, and we talk about this at work a lot, but go back in your memory holes a little bit, how before the assassination attempt, right? Before Joe Biden, and people are talking about wanting him to drop out, because what did we see from the news media? We literally saw a 24-hour shift right after the Trump debate. All of a sudden, you've got CNN standing up there trying to make you believe that, we didn't know anything was wrong with Biden, right? And so you've come to this point to where you're getting spoon-fed nothing but lies. And then all of a sudden, Kamala Harris is on the stage, right? Mm-hmm. She's going to be the next pick. But what happens before that? Everybody was talking about Hillary Clinton. I was talking about they're going to run Gavin Newsom. We were talking about Gretchen Whitmer. All these people. Kamala Harris wasn't even considered on any list for anybody to run for president. And it's mind-boggling to me because she is the vice president, right?
Yeah.
She is the next person in line. Like if something were to happen to Joe. Mm-hmm. But that is how little that people cared about Kamala Harris or even thought about her as filling a role. And then we were all duped by what I consider this fifth generation warfare, right? But we were all duped. Mm-hmm. This Kamala was just out in left field, and now she is going, according to an article I read today, like she's got the nomination already. Like they've already pledged, they're voting. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
Total gaslighting going on all around
Election
us.
Integrity, where'd that go?
Yeah, where did it go? 100%.
If I'm a Democrat and in the Democrat Party, I'd be pitching a fit.
Sure. You're obviously seeing the Democrat Party doesn't give two craps about its people or what they want. It's all about what they want, which is what they've been doing, Blake, for so long. Remember Bernie Sanders?
Yeah.
Twice they knocked Bernie Sanders out, once for Hillary Clinton, once for Joe Biden. I mean, you don't get a say in that party.
Well, and you think about this too. Why have the debate before you decide at the National Democrat National Convention on a candidate? Because they already knew.
They had to. We're seeing a plan in place.
That was what set in place to give them an excuse to be able to do what they've done now.
You know, you bring up a good point, and we said this before, the debate. Joe Biden, CNN, they got everything they wanted from that debate, right? Donald Trump came in and got nothing, really. But if the hindsight is, well, it looks like they planned that on purpose so that they could flip this narrative.
That's exactly what it is. And then they want to flip it and say, well, you know, he doesn't want to debate Kamala now. Well, no, he wants to debate the actual candidate. The actual candidate that's going to be the Democratic candidate, that's who he wants to debate.
And what did they do the other day over the weekend, right? So they invited Donald Trump to this black reporter caucus thing. I saw that, and they invited him under false pretenses. And he gets there. They won't let him do a Zoom call. And he sits down with him and he answers the questions. Now, we're sitting here watching a man, whatever you think about Orange Man bad or whatever, this man will literally sit down with anybody and talk to them and kind of shoot it straight. And every bit of that was pointed towards racism, of course, picking on black people and all this stuff. He answered these questions like when you go back and you look at the context, it's like he wasn't doing anything wrong. He's just trying to state his point and be like, we're not debating garbage here. And you think about all the interviews that you see on TV and when they sit down with people like cackling Kamala and Joe Biden and they throw them these little softball questions and everything is scripted and they read them before. And this is a guy who literally, I mean, he went to North Korea and walked across the Rubicon. He'll sit down with anybody and talk to him. And that going back to your point, I think a lot of black people in these audiences realize that they're being lied to. They're being lied to. Hence, when Megan Thee Stallion is done performing, whether they get up and walk out, they don't really care. And that's what we're trying to do here. We don't focus on color, ethnicity, and all this stuff. We're all people. It doesn't matter what pigment skin you are. What matters is, are you being lied to? Are you being sold down the river, or are you wanting to strengthen this country for all people? And I'm telling you, I saw the immediate clips come out, and I'm like, oh, they're trying to spin this, but what else are they going to do, right? So it's pretty wild here. So I'm going to pull this back up again. We'll read a little bit more of the story. So it says on Friday, Georgia GOP Chairman Josh McCoon sent Duncan an open letter demanding that he cease referring to yourself as a Republican and said the party would take actions to protect the Republican brand from his influence. Now that's pretty cool. So I really wanted to cover this, and I know some of my audience out there, Josh McCoon's not the they're not in everybody's favor, but I always say, you don't always pay attention to what people say, but what they do, and so this is worth looking at. So this is the open letter. If you haven't seen it, this is from Josh McCoon. Met him one time. I've shook his hand and said very few words to him. He says, "Dear Mr. Duncan, I really like this. In a life otherwise devoid of accomplishment, dropping out of college, failing as a minor league baseball player, starting a series of sketchy businesses, your nominations by the Republican Party were signal honors without which you would have never served as a member of the Georgia General Assembly or the lieutenant governor of this great state. You repaid this debt of gratitude with a single, largely self-embarrassing term in office as lieutenant governor. As chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, I write to demand that you cease referring to yourself as a Republican. You are not one." Now this is pretty good. Now it's long, and for the sake of time, I'm not going to read the whole thing. You should go check it out. But it does say the state executive committee will consider action to permanently ban you from qualifying as a Republican candidate for any elected office in this state, as your signing of the loyalty oath at this point would obviously be false swearing. That's big. The Republican National Committee will be requested to adopt a resolution permanently banning you from the Republican Party, as well as permanently banning you from qualifying as a Republican candidate in any state or territory for any position whatsoever, and so on and so forth. So, and then he says, "I request that you govern yourself accordingly. Sincerely, Georgia Republican Party." So, that's big. This is the accountability that I'm looking for, okay? Even though this is a letter, it's nice to see a little bit of backbone in our party to where they're willing to call people out for their actions, right? This goes back to so much of what we fight for, I think, in our local communities and elections. We want truth and transparency, right? And we want, why would we join a party that, well, what they call a uniparty, right? Like we're trying to separate that. And the fact that at this moment in time, you know, if you're supporting the Democrat Party, like you're supporting a lot of really, really bad things. Yeah. And for somebody to claim that they're a Republican, especially in a position like this lieutenant governor had, that's like huge to me. Yeah. Like you should be called out for that. Yeah. And
I don't understand it.
I don't either. I don't understand it.
Of course, he was coming into the end of his term when I came into office, so I only really met him once. I really didn't have any interaction with him, and I don't know Mr. McCoon. I think I've met him once, maybe. Right? But yeah, I do not understand that at all.
No, it makes no sense, and I'm glad to see that the Republican Party is our state party is having some backbone here and really calling people out like this. Yeah. I mean, if this is, to me, this is just not any old election. Yeah. This is the election of the century. This is where we make it or break it, right? Yeah. And it's not about Donald Trump as much as it is, you know, that's what stands in the way of tyranny.
Well, and it's the policies.
Yes.
You got to look at the policies.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I mean, and we think back when he was in office the first time, you know, there's people that like him and people that don't like him, but the policies worked for America.
Right.
I mean, if you separate the man from the policies were good.
Absolutely.
No matter what. So, you know, even if you don't particularly like his character or don't like what he says or whatever, you cannot argue the fact that the policies were better.
I agree. And that's it's an inverse reaction, because I've been told, well, I've been voting Republican my whole life, and I've been, you know, Ron Paul supporter here, you know, big time. But I mean, even that Libertarian Party, you know what I'm saying. But most of the time, you're looking at the Republican candidates that have been chosen, and you're like, well, you just got to hold your nose and vote for that person. And it's for the party and not for the policies. And that's where the inversion to me comes from, because Donald Trump, if you took Orange Man Bad away and looked at the policies, that's where the meat and potatoes are. That's where he did some of the best things that he could do in his limited time, because we had a pandemic, right? But if you look at the policies, the American First policies that he did, and take away all the other stuff, and I don't think that they can wrap their minds around that. I think it's just they hate him, or no matter what. I mean, you got to be brave in this world anyway to be a Republican and stand up like that and say that you're not going to support. Okay, it's one thing to say I'm not going to support Trump, but to literally like endorse Kamala Harris at this point, I mean, what kind of stupidity are we dealing with here? That to me is crazy. It's crazy.
I don't know what the thought process is there.
I would have thought that he would have more sense if he said, you know, I'm going to support. I mean, anybody that is, you know, another Democrat that might, I don't know.
Do you, I mean, like I said,
I can't wrap my mind around it.
Not knowing him, and I don't know if anybody's asked him this, but I mean, does he really support the policies of that candidate, or is it just that he just does not like the other candidate that much? And if it's that personal, then it's not really good, you know?
Well, I have a theory, and I believe this involves these coalition parties. I'm not going into the coalitions tonight, but I think that he was made to stand up as a patsy to make it real clear that we have opposition coalitions in the state. That's me. I claim that that's just my opinion, but there had to be something more to that than just him standing up and immediately doing that. So maybe they're trying to send a message. I don't know, but good riddance. I give kudos to our state GOP chair, Josh McCoon. I'm glad the letter has been written, and I hope to see more clear messages in the future as we shape this party into something that we want to see, that we want to represent us, you know. So let's see. This is something I'm going to play too. This is where, I guess it was today, August the 1st maybe, Mark Zuckerberg apologized to me. So I want to play this because this popped up everywhere. So here we go.
.com just got a little better. We're still the go-to for politics, breaking news, but we've got so much more.
Let's see here.
Sports, entertainment, lifestyle.
I guess we're having to watch advertising. So
to Fox.
here we go.
Meta said that the picture wasn't altered. At first they said it was altered, and then they said no, it was a bug. It was a mistake.
Mark Zuckerberg,
my point is these companies would not allow any information out about what happened.
So Mark Zuckerberg called me. First of all, he called me a few times. He called me after the event, and he said that was really amazing. It was very brave, and and he actually announced he's not going to support a Democrat because he can't, because he respected me for what I did that day. I think what I did maybe was to me it was a normal response. But I was called by Mark Zuckerberg yesterday, the day before, on this same subject, and he actually apologized. He said they made a mistake, et cetera, and they're correcting the mistake. Google, nobody called from Google.
So what he's talking about there, of course, is he's saying that Mark Zuckerberg pretty much apologized to him for being censored. The picture down here, the one with the fight, apparently Facebook was censoring that. I'm still seeing it everywhere, and I'm actually looking for some report to come out in the next day or two saying, oh, Donald Trump was blowing hot air like they normally do, right? But according to Donald Trump, Mark Zuckerberg called and apologized. Now, I did see the interview that Zuckerberg gave about talking about after that happened and seeing that picture, and he said, how can you not feel proud to be an American after seeing something like that? And I think maybe we're painting a little picture tonight that that I'm not quite wasn't clear before, but Mark Zuckerberg, all these people, maybe when we see this clown show unfolding every single day, and I'm sure you feel the same. A lot of times I'm kind of taken aback, like how can this be reality? Like I feel like I'm living in this false reality. All right, these people are billionaires, owners of companies. They're not stupid per se. I mean, they've got education. Their brains. Maybe all of this stuff is really waking up the masses and making them understand just what kind of spell they've been under. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and you think about this too. I mean, like they're people just like everybody else. So if you decide to listen to somebody and you're taking in information, you say, yeah, that makes sense to me, and I agree with that, and you decide to believe in what that person is saying to you,
right?
Until you're faced with a different situation where somebody gives you an alternative thought process, and they may still hold true to what they're thinking at that time until they're proven, hey, well, you know what, maybe I was thinking wrong.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
And I'm sure that the same thing happens with the Republican Party as does in the Democrat Party. It's real easy for anybody to be influenced to believe something that may not be accurate.
Right. Oh, it is. We see it every day.
No matter how smart they are.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of the problem. I think we're being inundated with so much information right now.
Well, that, and we don't do our own homework.
That's true.
A lot of people take what they see on Facebook and on the news at face value, automatic. They don't do their own homework. They don't dig into what the rules and regulations and the true nature of it is,
right,
and then decide for themselves. They say, well, this person, I know this person, I trust this person, I'm going to take them at face value, and they believe it, and necessarily not the best.
No,
idea.
It's a lot of this stuff to me feels like it's made to bring emotion out before anything.
Yeah.
And that's why we constantly talk about discernment on the show and taking a step back and realizing that you've got to let the dust settle a little bit, right?
Yeah.
because I feel like we're getting gaslit every single day. I mean, how do you take a rally seriously for Kamala Harris when you have Megan Thee Stallion out there with a bunch of that? That's ridiculous. But hey, Trump said it. He's out there, and I hope that Mark Zuckerberg apologized to him. And this is my little spiel to Facebook. Since you're doing that, maybe you can lay off of some of us people out here who's trying to spread the truth, and maybe quit freaking censoring us and putting us in Facebook jail. This is ridiculous. I mean, I hope that more people are waking up and seeing. I would love to see Facebook become a little more like X, where you got a little more free speech and you're not getting bogged down so hard. So
well, and we still have our campaign Facebook page is still up. We haven't taken it down yet, but the minute we put it up, do you know that probably at least 3 to 4 times a day I get one of those false violation messages,
Right.
and I just automatically spam, but it's all the time.
It's all the time. It's everybody, it seems like, and I don't understand it. Memes, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Well, a meme is worth 1,000,000, I guess, and it is sort of a meme war when you think about it. You can, in this day and age with technology, you can take a meme that has so much in-depth meaning to it. Your brain can just see it on a subconscious level, and I think that they're constantly fighting with that because they know how effective it can be. And there's a lot of truth to the meme can't left, right? I mean, the left can't meme. Which I've seen some pretty good memes from the left. But my point is that when you're, what do comedians tell you? When you write comedy, it's best if you write about your own self, your own life, right? Because that's where you get your inspiration. That's where you know yourself better. Writers tell you the same thing. Though a meme that is about something that makes sense and is logical is obviously going to resonate better with a crowd than something that makes no sense.
Yeah.
So it really is. It's crazy how all this goes, but they love to target memes, man. If you blatantly see that it's just a joke, I've had to pull back so much from putting memes out there because I will get slapped bigger than anything if I post a meme. So I try not to. But anyway, hey Mark Zuckerberg, maybe now you'll get you'll ease up on some of us people out there that are trying to bring this shit back to light. So I thought that was interesting, and like I said, I'm waiting to see if that gets fact checked, and all of a sudden it's going to say, Mark Zuckerberg never said that. Who knows? We all know how Trump talks. So this is something interesting. Don Lemon, back in the day on CNN, when he was somewhat relevant, arguing that Kamala Harris is not African American. I thought we'd throw this up there because of all of this race stuff. So the reason I'm bringing this up has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with the gaslighting and the narrative that they're trying to paint over us. And we should not be afraid at all to talk about this and discuss it because it's all lies. But I thought this was interesting, so here goes.
Black woman.
Okay, that's fine. I agree with that. I agree with that. But is she African American? No. But is she African American? There's a difference. There's nothing wrong with that. No one is trying to take anything away from her.
Let's go down into her lineage.
I think you're falling into a trap of that. All she had to do was say, "I am black, but I'm not African American." That's it.
Don, I
I'm
think
not falling in a trap. I'm not falling in. Let me finish. Hold on. I'm not falling into a trap by that. When she goes down her lineage, many Africans landed in Jamaica and all these other Caribbean islands. So she could indeed
Jamaica's
be
not America.
African American mixed with others. But she is
Jamaica's not America.
But she is a black woman. She was born
did not
here
come
in
out of
America.
Jim Crow.
Okay, well let's go
saying.
into Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was born in Canada.
I'm not talking about Ted Cruz.
His father
This
was
is not
Cuban.
about Ted Cruz. You're changing
I know,
the subject.
but you know what? We cannot. It was hypocrisy. I'm not changing the subject.
Yes, you are.
She's a black woman.
I thought that was a pretty funny clip. So this whole thing about the race baiting and all this, Kamala Harris is a human being. I don't really care about what she claims to be or whatever, but this has been going on for a long time. It's just funny to me that now that she is running for president, the line in the sand has been drawn. And you can't say anything about this, but people could debate this all they wanted to before,
Well, I think we go back to the policies.
Mm-hmm.
When did elections stop being about policies and what the person has done in office, if they've been in office before, and what they stand for and what policies they're promoting. And when did it turn into a popularity contest?
I agree 100%.
You know, and you start doing it on a popularity contest type situation, well, that's what you get. You get the performers. You get the people wanting to talk about, well, is this person this race or that race or whatever? Did they come from here? They come from there or whatever? What about their policies?
Exactly.
Their policies. I'm not Democrat because of the policies. I am Republican because they align with my policies and my thought processes. So, you know, that's what it needs to be about. And that goes from local to state to federal.
It does. When are we going to squash this and get past it? It's obviously they're using it as a talking point because it has a lot of power behind it, and they have no policies to stand on.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you think about it, a lot of people are not going to do their due diligence to look into the policies and what if they have been a legislator in the past, what have they passed? What bills have they passed? What have they supported? What policies have they supported? Most of the people are going to just take their, like we said, information from social media and say, well, I'm voting for that person because of that, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, Kamala was the border czar. We've seen the 50 videos that's out, you know, that she was the border czar. And then the famous clip where he asked her, "You've never been to the border?" And she said, "Well, I've not been to Europe either." And, you know, she didn't do anything, which was on purpose, of course. So, and that will move us into this next little segment that I wanted to bring up right here. Well, that's not it. Where did it go? Let me go back a little bit. So this one, let's see, let me go back to my profile. So this was a story by Muckraker, and it's making the rounds today. So we're not going to watch the whole thing, but let me pull it up here where everybody can see it, because this is what they're planning on doing in November if we even have an election. So we need to check a little bit of this out. It's been going around. It's been going pretty viral, but here goes.
Registering Hispanic.
Here we go.
We come from a company that is dedicated to registering Hispanic people so they can vote in upcoming elections. Are you already registered? We already voted. You already voted? Yes. Are you a citizen or?
No.
Have you already been registered or?
Yeah.
Are you a citizen or?
No.
Have you already been registered at work? Yes, we have. You've already been registered? Are you a citizen or not a citizen?
No es.
The apartment complex Elliott Norcross in Norcross, Georgia, is occupied primarily by non-citizens. We visited the complex to ask residents 2 questions. Are you a citizen, and are you registered to vote? Shockingly, 14% of respondents admitted to being non-citizens registered to vote.
Buenas, disculpe por molestar. Venimos con una organización que se dedica a registrar a la gente hispana para poder votar en las elecciones. ¿Ya la registraron a usted o?
Ya.
¿Ya? ¿Y fue en el trabajo o vinieron?
Vino
alguien a tocar. Ah, ok. Muchas gracias. Y oiga, ¿y usted es ciudadana o? No. ¿Ya la registraron en el trabajo o en un lado?
Bueno, sí, nos dijeron, pero...
¿Ya se registró?
Yo creo que sí.
¿En el trabajo?
Okay, so I'm not going to play the whole thing, but this was a very interesting video that shows non-citizens are already registered to vote, and some of them have already voted. So if you think that we just got this in the bag and that, you know, we're going to get Donald Trump in by a landslide, think again, because while we're being inundated with all of this culture trash, like the Olympics and the girls getting punched in the face, you know, this is happening in every city and every town in America by these non-governmental organizations that are already registering these people to vote. So it's something we all need to be aware of.
Well, it's time they crack down on ballot harvesting.
100%.
It's time they cracked down on that and got away, you know, totally did away with it and really cracked down on it.
Sure.
But that's, you know.
It's pretty bad. We know this is going on. We know that Colton Moore, our state senator up here, went down to the airport and filmed some NGOs down there that were processing these people in. We have a huge crisis at our border that's still wide open. And if Kamala Harris, of course, gets elected, it'll remain at least wide open, if not wider. And They know they can't go back and do what they did in 2020 and 2022, so they're going all around registering all these people. There's a lot more we could dig into that, but that was an actual like undercover video that was right here in Norcross, Georgia. So folks need to be aware out there that it's very pivotal that you go and vote in November. Your family, your friends, everybody needs to get out and make your voice heard, because this is sort of a last stand. Kamala Harris, if she becomes president, then oh my God, the policies like you're talking about is going to be insane. I mean, it's wild. And I think I got one more that I wanted to cover real quick, and we'll talk about this. But a lot of conspiracies about the assassination, and we have more information coming out dailies. And when I say conspiracies, what I mean is we've still not have an official story, right? We don't have an official story. The only thing we've seen is that Kimberly Cheadle was able to resign to the Jelly of the Month Club with Anthony Fauci away scot-free without answering a single question. And so if you haven't seen in the media yet, there are all kinds of whistleblowers from state, local, Secret Service that are coming out because they are spilling the beans about just how crazy all this was and how open everything. I mean, there was a recent revelation that this kid pretty much walked in with the Secret Service. So we're not going to speculate tonight on that, and I'm just covering a snippet, but you need to know this stuff is out there. We're getting bits and pieces, so use your discernment. Understand that we probably will never get the truth. But I believe this clip is from the acting Secret Service director now, but I want you to hear a little bit of this because this is kind of crazy. So here we go.
Does the Secret Service use encrypted communications at events?
On our radio nets, we do, sir.
Are those memorialized? Are those saved?
The radio traffic from Butler, we did not have recordings.
Do you normally?
Not on the road outside of D.C. or outside of a presidential or vice presidential stop.
So communications between Secret Service agents will not be available like we've gotten the communications from local law enforcement?
I'm sorry, Senator.
So we're not going to be able to get those communications. You didn't save them.
No, sir.
Which is very unfortunate.
It is, sir. And moving forward, I've directed that we will now start recording those so that we will have them moving forward.
Does the Secret Service use encrypted communication?
So that's just something I wanted to cover real quick. This is just a little snippet. There's better ones out there, but obviously, I mean, how crazy is it that they want to pull my cell phone data. If Facebook decides that they want to see my messages, or if, God forbid, something happens to me and they need to get my phone, well, they can do that. But you're telling me the Secret Service doesn't record any of the messages that are being sent back and forth?
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
You would think it'd just be policy that they record it all, no matter what, whoever,
whatever. If your money
in.
is paying for the Secret Service, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be like something like you would expect?
Yeah.
That you could go back and see the records?
Yeah.
Now, this thing sinks to high heaven, folks.
It's almost like, the past Secret Service director who resigned, you almost want to question whether it's purposeful negligence.
Exactly.
That's what it sounds like.
Oh, yes. It sounds like a lot here. There's so much to unpack there, folks. But this is just a little bit that I was able to get together tonight. There's a couple of really good clips from this last Senate hearing committee, but I don't know what it's going to take to I don't know that we'll ever. I say this before, we still talk about Kennedy assassination.
Yeah.
70, 60 years I don't know that we're ever going to get the truth, but be careful about what rabbit holes, because at this point they'll be throwing everything at you, trying to divert your attention away from the fact that most likely there were some nefarious players here that allowed these windows of opportunity to happen. So it's staggering to me that we're held. I get held by a meme on social media where I can't even or YouTube doesn't like one word, and I can't even post for 2 weeks. But these people can go up on a Senate hearing committee and literally say, "I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. I'll have to revert you." It's mind blowing. We're living in total clown world.
Yep.
So anyway, I think that was everything that I had pulled up. Poor Kyle Rittenhouse. I won't talk about him tonight. He's already came out and said that he supports Donald Trump. He's had a rough couple of days, so a lot of people, y'all will know what I mean by that. So let's go through comments. Let's go through comments and see what we got tonight. So again, Michael Anthony, it's great to see you stopping in. Can't wait to sit down with you again. Thomas Harper, I love you too. I miss you. It's good to see you on here. So Kim's Coffee Talk, again, great morning show. Antonio Jones, is always a pleasure. And he says you can't hurt people's feelings, Roy. So I try not to. But the truth is the truth. If you get offended, I'm sorry. But we're not going to focus on anything but the truth, right? And we're not here to hurt feelings. We're here to get people awakened to this mind, this war for your mind that they got going on for you, right? So Thomas says, much respect. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. War Room, Gwinnett County. That's where it's at. Antonio says, you're doing a great job over there as well. Well, thank you, sir. 14th District GOP of Georgia says, fight, fight, fight. And you know what? I'm proud, and I know you'll say the same thing. And I've worked with so many different districts, and I've got so many different friends now all over the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've always told people that, things are different in different parts of the state.
They are. Yep.
A lot of people might not like this person or that person, or they have a history, and we're all just trying to figure it out. But I'm telling you, I'm so proud of our 14th District GOP and the people that have stood up to lead, and I feel like that we're all making much bigger differences right now, this present time, than we ever have. You know?
Yeah, they don't call it the Mighty 14th for nothing.
That's right. It is the Mighty 14th. And I want to be a beacon of light to people, because I never thought I would be join the Republican Party or been a fighter. And I know a lot of stuff I watch, and people are like, I am apolitical. Some of my most favorite streamers and YouTubers and channels, they're way past politics. But I'm like, look, man, I got my eyes open a long time ago. It's about the local. We've got to fix local,
Yep.
And I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere, so I want to be a part of that fight, of that truth and that transparency.
Oh, yeah.
So much love to the 14th District. You guys are great. And Antonio says, look, I'm not taking all the credit, man. Gwinnett County, other Paulding County, different districts. There are so many good fighters out there that are, we're winning, folks. I mean, they wouldn't be at these levels of desperation if we weren't making a difference. That's just the truth, man. So, Hardy Stromberg Taylor, hello everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. We hope you are doing well too, Hardy. Appreciate you stopping in. David Naha, my brother, it says, this has become more of a circus than I could have imagined. I knew things would be interesting, but this is just parody at this point. It's pretty spot on, Naha. I'm amazed, because I've never considered myself a smart individual or a person, like, not an intellectual, and I'm nothing really. I'm just a dude raising a family, working. But when I watch these things unfold and think, how on earth, like, is this some sort of evil spell?
And coming from local politics and coming from local office, you learn a lot in 4 years. And I can say that there are times, though, when I hear things talked about on the federal level, some of the policies that these people talk about, even state, and some of the things that are said, and you're like, is that even a logical thought? Like it's so far out there.
Yes. And
this is coming from, a lot of times, from somebody who has a higher education degree. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that doesn't even make sense.
Right.
Just mind-blowing.
I'm telling you, you can't wrap your mind around it.
No.
And it seems like the Olympics, for example. What do we expect from the Olympics? Our culture is being denigrated.
Well, but the thing is that people believe it.
Yeah.
Like, and I say that it's not just on the left. We have the same situation sometimes on our side as well.
Yes, we do.
People will believe, and so I go back to self-educating and really learning about what actually are the policies.
Right.
And what's the truth?
That's what it boils down to.
What does the law say? What does the statute say?
Yeah.
What are the provisions? What are the rules and regulations? What are the processes you have to follow?
Well, you have to. And a law is only as good as the people that follow it.
That's right.
And that's the whole point. We've got to get back. A lot of these things could be fixed if we just abided by the law and upheld the law.
Yeah.
And it seems like our system is being dismantled where nobody wants to.
Well, and it's a lot of things is open to interpretation.
Yes.
And so you have to be very cautious about who's interpreting.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we should work on some of that. Really. All right. Antonia, let's see. Excuse me, Beth McCord. It's good to have you, Beth. Thank you for joining us tonight. Antonio Jones says, expand that to Sterling, Carr, and Raffensperger. All right, yes. Now look, I'm with you guys. This is a baby step in a direction, and I'm not trying to cause any kind of stink or anything, but to see the state Republican Party take this kind of stance in the right direction, right? That's something that everybody can get behind, right? Is what we need. Is a clear message of, hey, this is our line in the sand. Now, do we need more lines in the sand? We absolutely do, right? But we can never give up hope that people will be able to change and seek truth, justice, transparency. That's all I'm saying. Give credit where credit is due, all right? Because we're not all enemies here. And I'm telling you now, I've got I don't care who Josh McCoon is, or I don't know the dude, I met him one time. I listen to a lot of smart people tell me their opinions, and I watch and I look. But I'll tell you something. This is a step in the right direction, and I agree. We need to expand that to Sterling, Carr, and Raffensperger. Raffensperger is a joke. And he's been in hiding for months now, right? So yeah, we've got a lot of work on the ground to do, and maybe, just maybe, that some of our work is paying off, right? Maybe people are finally being able to catch up and see just how crazy things are in Georgia, right? And we've got an election, 90-something days away. Mm-hmm. So we got to hit the ground running.
When you think about roles like Secretary of State, what's 26? It's up in 26.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
So, that'll be an interesting
yep.
race.
And what are we going to do about it?
Who's going to come out?
That's right. That's right. We need to be getting a truth, transparent, somebody who is ready to get in there and set the record straight for the next Secretary of State. We can't allow this to continue on.
Well, so. and too, if it's an office that's got a lot of issues, you want to look at who's going to be able to move it forward.
That's right.
You can go back and you can do all the past examinations and everything you want to and get down to the bottom line, but then how are you going to move that forward? Because, once you find out what the issues are, that's fine. Are you fixing them?
That's right. That's 100% right. So, all right. Antonio says, dumb dudes for Kamala. Ain't that the truth? I'm sure, Antonio, you saw the Zoom, though they did the white women for Kamala, and then they did the white guys for Kamala, and I watched some of that, and it was just like, it was very, very cringe. I hate this identity politics crap. I hate it with a passion, and it's just so stupid. It's the oxymoron of what we're trying to accomplish here. But Andy Soha, I love you, man. He says, good to see you guys tonight. It's good to hear from you, sir. Andy's got a lot of good ideas that we need to bring into light. He's a good fighter down there in Cherokee. We appreciate you. Naha says, Indian is not black. How are they still pushing that? Well, I mean, that out of their own mouth, that's what I'm saying. They know that they can hide behind this race card, and they think that they can trap you in this little corner and say, well, you can't say this or you're a racist. And all that. We don't buy that. We're not playing that game. And you can go back and easily debunk it, and all it does is wake more people up. It's like the Streisand effect, So it says 2016 news interviews first Indian senator. Absolutely. Like I said, you can go back in 30 seconds. You can debunk all this race card stuff. Lauren, Diana, good to have you this evening. The lack of voting is astounding. Our rural communities must vote. You brought up a huge huge, and we got a commissioner sitting right here. So let's talk about this for a second. Our midterms were kind of dismal to me.
Yeah, very low turnout. I think that's part of the reason you saw some of the results of some of our elections, honestly. I think very low turnout. So, we've got to get rural Georgia out to vote. Rural areas have got to vote.
That's right.
We've got to get out in huge numbers, because I can tell you the metro areas are definitely going to vote.
Yes, and if you saw the video earlier, then they're already registering illegal immigrants to vote and with voting cards, and that's Norcross, Georgia. Where else do you think it's happening?
Well, and it's easy for them to do that because it's high density.
Yep.
You can go into one of those areas like that and snatch up hundreds of votes at one time. So, it's a lot harder to canvass in rural Georgia.
It is, and that's where rural Georgia, rural states or communities are really going to have to step up. And so many times I hear the same thing. Why should we vote? Because we're handling this clown world on a level where we're active. We're actively involved. The people that are seeing the same things that are not doing the kind of activism we're doing, they're just done with it. And I'm like, you can't be done with it.
You can't. You can't. Even if you don't want to be involved, you got to at least vote.
That's right.
Go cast your vote. Let that be it. If that's what you want to do.
Sure.
But you definitely vote. Definitely.
Yeah, and we've got the Trump Force 47 that's going on. They're actively engaging in the rural communities and trying to pull these votes out. You've got a lot of decent, good programs, USA Project. There's so many, TPUSA. There's so many different projects that are out there. And, of course, your local GOPs. Don't think that, these GOPs were trying to strengthen their numbers and get people more involved. Go to a meeting.
We've got to get younger people out to vote.
We do.
The majority of your voters, especially the ones that actually vote consistently, are going to be older. We've got to get, especially the ones that are just now coming of voting age, we need to really educate those voters on the policies and let them make decisions and get them voting.
I totally agree with you, man. But we do. We've got a huge rural voting problem, and that's one reason why we focus a lot on this stuff. It's not to discourage anybody. It is to encourage you to get in the game. Like, they're playing a game with your life. Like, you need to join in this game. And if that is what we've got to go cast a ballot on a stupid electronic machine that we can't trust, then guess what? That's what you got to do. And that's simple. You don't have to get up here and do a podcast and do events and all this. You just go vote and bring your family out to vote and take it seriously, because I'm telling you, we don't want a Kamala Harris presidency. That would be detrimental. It'd be the nail in the coffin. So, all right, Earl Klein, good to see you. He says, "Can you say cover up?" I certainly can. That's what they're backtracking on every step of the way. It's interesting to watch it unfold. It's almost mind-boggling to watch this unfold. And we're nowhere. Was it July? See, it's August the 2nd. We're talking about July 15th, July 16th, and we're no more closer to the truth. Officially than we were then, and it's astounding to me. Even 9/11, the very next day, they had a script ready telling you what the narrative was. Like, this is insane. So, Jeff Conley, my brother, he says, "I served those apartments in Norcross, Georgia, as a discipline assistant principal in a middle school that I worked in. It had history when I worked there in the early 2000s. It doesn't surprise me that it has stories coming out of it now." Wow. Jeff Conley, he's been around. He's done a lot of stuff in the education system, and so I'm sure you've got some stories to tell. That's pretty wild. Like I said, it's all out there, and people are getting it, and we need to be prepared. Why do we think that one of these biggest pushes for this replacement migration is happening? It's for voting. There's different tactics. They're pulling out all the stops to get so that they can tie this election up. And good Lord, they literally just pushed Joe Biden out of the way. Did you see the video today where they were at the airport like the night before waiting on the plane? Kamala is out there, Biden's out there, Secret Service is out there. There's a plane. I think they're waiting on a tarmac or runway for a plane, and there's just a plane sitting over there with the steps down. And Joe Biden just wanders off and just gets on a plane. There's nobody on it, no lights on it, and they're all laughing at him.
Oh, Lord.
They're all laughing at him. they're laughing as he just walks up these steps and gets on this plane, and it takes him a couple minutes to come back out.
That's terrible.
Not only is it terrible, it's pathetically sad. I can't even laugh at that. These are the leaders of our free world.
Yep.
And they're letting him walk around like a puppet with no brain. It's insane to me.
Yeah.
And this is reality, folks. That's why you got to go vote.
You've got to.
You have to.
You've got to, because they're going to play the numbers game.
Yep.
That's what they're doing. They're going to play the numbers game.
Big time. They're not going to be able to put the cardboard up on the windows and tell you that the State Farm Arena was leaking and all this. They're going to try to boost up these numbers all over the place.
Their policies do not win elections.
Yes.
Their numbers win elections, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to play the numbers game.
Yep. 100%, man. Yep. All right. Lauren Diana says, if you don't care about politics, then you can't care about your family, your work, your money, your standard of living. We scream that from the hilltops. That's 100% right. 100% right. So she also says college degrees are overrated now, says the person with 4, but still. Hey, I hear you. My daughter starts college next week. You know, we're the same way. We're trying to, of course, we're gearing her towards an actual physical job from her degree, not some meaningless, you know, she's going to go into, of course, the medical field. Mm-hmm. And we're going to try to see her through it. Awesome. We've had that talk about, hey, watch out for the indoctrination. Of course, I'm her dad, so she's got to hear from me anyway. But, you know, it's a real thing. And you got to be careful in college. That's some of the years of your life that, you know, are most influential, you know. And it's all about family and raising your kids right and seeing through that they get past all of the nonsense and the BS, you know.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. I agree. And Sharon Holland, thank you for watching, Sharon. I appreciate you so much. Sharon says, Trump is risking his life for America. The least we can do is vote, so get registered now. That is 100% right, Sharon. I don't know how to scream it anymore. We're going to do some special. I even thought about doing some advertising, like the Facebook stuff. So if you do happen to give at my Give Send Go, I'm planning on using some of that money for advertising, just for getting out the vote, doing my part. So just know that that's where that money is going to go. I'm going to try to put out a few ads for the show, and then focus on, hey, it's up to you to get registered to vote. It's something I've been thinking about for a while. So if you guys want to participate with it or help me, that's a way to do it, because it's so important that we fight against this narrative. You know, our side gets blamed because we keep bringing up election integrity, right? And we keep digging and digging and digging. And you have to understand where things went wrong in order to fix it and move on, right? So it's not about, we're not holding on to the past, and we're not doing this stuff because we're sore that Donald Trump didn't get elected, right? What we were trying to do is fix a system in which the vote actually counts, the vote is legal, and it's transparent from start to finish, so that there is no question, right? Nobody is going to argue if you can see point A to point B regardless of the outcome, right? The problem is that you never see the process of the outcome. And that's why we continue to fight in this election integrity process. But that's the main reason, to me, that gets me fired up more to go vote. It's like...
Yeah, it should. And you know, you got to vote so that you vote the right people in to make those changes that you want to see. You know, and we, you know, not just coming up with the presidential election, which should be on everybody's radar and the utmost importance. But I just saw an article recently where the Democrats are coming out and putting a ton of money, millions of dollars, into trying to flip the state legislature.
That's right.
And you're going to see that. You're going to see that through this November. You're going to see it in 2 years. They're going to try to flip it. You're going to see it with the governor's race in 26, lieutenant governor's race in 26, I'm sure. Secretary of State, that will be one that they'll probably look at. And, you know, we've really got to be vigilant about that, too. Because that'll impact local very much.
And we lose these local seats, and you see what's happening to the rule of law with all these like Soros-elected DAs and these justices, these court-appointed judges, and you see now that the law is almost a laughing stock, right? All we have is our local municipalities and our sheriffs. We have to maintain that, and that's why you've got to get active and involved in every level. the closest level to you. So 100%. All right, Andy says, who's going to the Trump rally tomorrow? I wish I could, Andy, but our new Patriot Band is premiering in Chickamauga, Georgia at the Car and Bike Show tomorrow. So Donald Trump loses out. He's not going to get to see me. So I'm sorry, Trump, but we've got a band gig tomorrow. So maybe one of these days we can play for him. But you be safe out there, too. Naha says, when my oldest son graduated from Covenant College, he enrolled at UTC. He said the indoctrination was amazing to witness. Every professor pushes Marxist ideology. I've heard it a bunch. I've heard it a whole bunch. So it's everywhere. And it's just something that we need to be aware of,
It's another reason why school choice is so important.
Yes, absolutely. And we got some good legislation passed this year about it.
The foot in the door.
The foot in the door.
Yeah, so. It doesn't do everything that we want it to do, but it's definitely a foot in the door.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Sharon says, applying to Andy Soha where? Atlanta. Yeah, Andy says Atlanta. So Trump is going to be at Georgia State University tomorrow. There's tickets. Sharon, you can text me. I can send you a link to get some tickets. I think the venue holds like 8,000 to 10,000. I might be wrong on that. But I'm sure it's going to be crowded. But you're more than welcome to get a link from me and if you want to get a ticket to go. So. And then any of you all out there that aren't, feel free to come out tomorrow. And I'll put the flyer up one more time. 2, it's the Christian Patriot Nation. And Cliff's Edge presents the Take Our Nation Back. It's just a car and bike show. We're going to be performing. I'm going to be on drums with the awesome musicians. Out tomorrow, we'll have the Small Town Underground booth. You can come out and see me, say hello. And that's going on tomorrow. If you want a flyer, I can send it to you. So that's pretty much it, Blake. As always, man, I want to give you kind of the last final thoughts of the show.
Well, I just appreciate you having me. Always enjoy being here.
Yeah.
Always enjoy talking with you. I'll keep you updated on what's going on locally in Chattooga County. But and I'll keep you updated on what I'll do next.
Yeah, man.
But just happy to be involved, and I enjoy it very much.
Well, you're all a friend of the show, my friend. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you wanted to come out and do this tonight. I had a blast.
Oh,
And thank you all for spending your Friday evening with me here. We're going to have another special coming up Sunday. I'm not going to spoil it yet because we're still in the making. Plan on having Garland Favorito on around the 20th, I think. So some good stuff coming up. I'm talking to some people now that we're going to continue on with Mark Swanson and some more election integrity revelations, moving right into the election, focusing on what we can do to get Donald Trump elected as president in November. So that should be our top focus, Trump Force 47. As always, reach out to me. You can support me by givesendgo.com/smalltownunderground. Every penny goes back into the show. And guys, happy Friday evening. You guys be safe out there, especially going to the Trump rally. Don't let nothing crazy happen down there tomorrow. You protect that man. And y'all have a wonderful, wonderful evening.